What's up, y'all? It's FTKComputer. Welcome back. So, thank you guys for watching my Us review, my original one that didn't contain any spoilers. And some of you guys said you wanted me to do a more in-depth review, so this is that. And I'm happy to do it. I love talking about horror movies. I think I watched every single one almost in the theater, so hey, I'm down. So I did, however, watch a few other reviews to kind of like see how they did it, just because I'm new to this, reviewing thing. And a lot of them kind of went over the entire plot, like point by point, and I just don't. I feel like that's gonna take a long time. And if you've seen the movie, you know what happens. But I thought what I did was I took some notes and made some bullet points of things that I thought was interesting to me to discuss, I guess, in a review. So yeah, let's do it. So first, let's talk about the ending. So at the end of the movie, we find out that Adelaide, or who we knew to be Adelaide the entire movie, is actually the clone of Adelaide, and Red, who we believe is the evil clone, turns out to be the original Adelaide, who was switched, who was attacked by the clone, switched out, and she assumed her life, basically. I'm not gonna lie, I did kind of see it coming. I started to suspect it when I noticed that none of the other clones were speaking. And also, I think it was confirmed for me when she was killing I don't remember who she was killing. She was either killing one of the girls or the mother, and she kind of let out this guttural kind of sound, and it just sounded so similar to what the sound that Abraham, the scream that Abraham did earlier. And that's when I was like, wow, I think that, and I kind of figured it out. However, seeing it play out was still very satisfying. I just thought it was such a cool ending. I also thought that it was interesting that, okay, well, before I discuss that, what I'm thinking is that Adelaide did not actually remember that she was a clone until towards the end of the movie, when she killed her doppelganger. You see that scene where she's holding her and she's screaming, and and it's like you get that flashback, and she kind of has this weird expression where it's like she's laughing but she's also crying, and that's when I think she kind of realizes that she realizes that it's sad that what happened to her clone, but she knew what she had to do to get this life, and she didn't want to live that clone life underground anymore. So she was kind of happy, but at the same time she was sad because she understood both sides of the coin. She knew what it was like to live down there. So yeah, and I think also when people undergo things that are traumatic, sometimes they mentally just block it out. And I think that she had been living Adelaide's life. She had assumed Adelaide's life for so long that she kind of started to believe that she actually was the original Adelaide. And I just thought it was such an interesting thing. I also thought it was interesting how her son, I think he realized that his mother was the clone after kind of watching it play out when he was hiding. And we see that scene at the end when they're in the car and he's giving her that look, and he's like, it's kind of a look of, why, like trying to process the fact that his mother was one of these evil clones, but at the same time, I think he kind of gives her this look of assurance, like, you raised me, you're my mother no matter what, and I still love you, which I thought was very interesting. I really enjoyed. Y'all not gonna hear it enough, but I really loved this movie. I thought it was such a cool movie. Hold up, let me get my little bullet points out right quick. All right. Oh yeah. So one of the major themes that stuck out to me, or what I believe to be one of the major themes, let me not act like I'm the guru of understanding Jordan Peele's mind or movies, but what this movie really felt like to me was inspired by classism. and how I'm trying to see how to explain this without getting super political or any of that, because like this is a gaming channel and I'm not trying to get into politics here. I guess the best way that I can think about it is like if someone is born into a rich family, right? Most likely they're going to be able to afford to have, they're going to eat better. They're going to probably get a better education, which will lead into going to a better college, which will lead into better jobs and better money. You'll have more food. You'll have a higher standard of living. And I think that if you do have trouble in any way, there's a higher chance that there will be people that will be able to help you. Whereas someone who is born on the other side of the spectrum with, little money, if they're poor, maybe they're homeless, they're not gonna. It's gonna be harder to access a good education. It's gonna be harder to access money and food and resources and all that stuff. And I think that this movie kind of showed that duality of how, even though we're both, how when she said, we're both, we're Americans, we're people too, but you saw how the quality of life underground, where they, like when Red was telling her story about how while she was eating, gourmet meals, they were eating raw rabbits. When she was opening Christmas presents and stuff like that, she she cut her hands. She only got sharp objects to play with. While she gave birth to her beautiful children, she had to basically take the children out herself and all this stuff. Like, I think that it really did draw on this idea of when we are born with certain, when we're born with certain opportunities and we're born with money and we're born with class, we're able to access more. We were able to access a better quality of life, and I think that he drew heavily from that with this movie. There also was the idea during the movie where I think Red said that they weren't able to copy the soul, and how the government kind of abandoned the clones. I think that also really did kind of focus on how a lot of people view poor people, homeless people, as unworthy. Whereas this movie kind of showed when clone Adelaide was able to assume the life of the original Adelaide, she struggled. However, with the proper tools, because now she had access to those things, she was able to live a fulfilled life. And even though she still struggled and still had she still held on to those experiences, like when she was saying she has trouble talking to people, she's very paranoid. She still was able to, have this normal life. So I don't think that the clones didn't have a soul. I think that they just did not receive the proper attention that they needed to be able to, become quote unquote normal humans, if that makes sense. It just also makes me think about and maybe you understand what I'm talking about if you live in like a large city. A lot of times there are so many homeless people and poor people strung out on drugs, like all over the place. And I mean, so many. And I think a lot of times we view them as lost causes, or like we can't do anything for them, and and not just us as individuals, but the government as well. There are a lot of situations where police have been arresting and trying to forcefully relocate homeless people who already don't have anywhere to go, and we kind of turn a blind eye to it, or we feel like, well, can't really help you, like we're dealing with our stuff as well. So I think that this movie really just drew from that. I don't think that it's a 100% equivalent to it, but I think that it really does draw from that notion. Let's see, let me look at my bullet points. Two things that this movie also highlighted that I thought was really cool. One, the importance of therapy. we saw Adelaide actually getting therapy, and her parents taking her to therapy. I don't know if you guys know this, but in the Black community, there's this idea that therapy is not it's white people stuff. A lot of people don't get therapy. A lot of people don't get the proper help that they need. And I think that I really enjoyed the fact that they showed that these parents were taking their child to like a professional, and not just like, oh, she'll get over it, or, try to pray it away, actually taking her to a professional. And the other thing that I thought was really cool was the importance of art, and how art can help you express things that you can't really express with words, and can help you deal with a lot of different things. In this situation, it was trauma and traumatic experiences, but I think that this movie also showed like how putting focusing your feelings into art is a very healthy way to handle stuff. So those were two cool things. I mean, they weren't a huge part of the movie, but I thought that was really cool. Hold up, let me look at my little notes again. 1 second. Okay, so there were some theories that I heard from, because like watching reviews and just seeing friends talk about it, and having conversations. One of the biggest theories that I keep hearing is people think that Jason is a clone and Adelaide somehow switched them, or they switched places. And I personally do not believe that. What I think is, because Jason himself suffered from some kind of mental illness, it may have been like Asperger's or just social anxiety. I think that made him more of an introvert, which made him a little bit more in tune maybe with himself, because he had trouble talking to other people. So I think he may have found comfort in socializing with his other self, and that's why they were so kind of comfortable. He wasn't really trying to kill him, and that's, I think, why they were so linked together, because of that. That's just how I think about it. I mean, I don't really have proof, but that's just kind of how I saw it. I also don't think that it would have really added anything to the plot for her to switch them, or for them to be switched at all. It's when Red was telling her story, she was talking about giving birth to Pluto. She had her hand on his head, like kind of like a dog. It seemed like they had a connection. As weird as it was, it already seemed like they had a connection. So I mean, it just doesn't seem like it would have made sense. And then also, if he had been switched within a year's time, because some people were saying, well, maybe the reason he didn't remember something or the other was because he wasn't the one that was there last year. But I don't feel like he would have been able to learn how to communicate so well with his family and with his sister in only a year, if he spent the first, I don't know, assuming he's 8, which he looked like he might have been like 8 or 9, assuming he spent the first 7 or 8 years of his life not speaking. So yeah, I think that's just kind of a conspiracy theory. I don't think it really happened. People were also mentioning that Adelaide looked distraught when Pluto was walking into the fire, and that was proof that he was her real son. But I think, as a mother, when she saw a clone of her actual son that she gave birth to about to die, I think it just triggered her maternal instinct. And being a clone herself, even though I still don't think that she completely realized it at that point, I think somewhere subconsciously she still viewed the clones as just humans. She just viewed them as other humans. So yeah, I think that she was just more, it was just more of a natural reaction to seeing a copy of her son die. I don't think that proved that it was her real son. I mean, and you notice she was pretty sympathetic to the daughter as well. When the daughter was dying, she was kind of like, to calm her, because even though it wasn't her daughter, it looked exactly like her daughter. So I just think that was a very hard thing as a mother to see. even if it wasn't her daughter, because it looked exactly like her. I think that she had some sympathy for them. I don't know. I feel like one of the reasons that some people may not like this movie so much is that it doesn't answer every single question we have, and it is going to leave people guessing at certain things and wondering about things and debating things. I think the reason that they did that is because, I mean, it's a horror film, right? And horror films already don't have that, a lot of times don't have that consistent action element to keep you invested and keep you interested. And I think, I mean, because I've seen a lot of people questioning certain things and saying like certain things don't really make sense, or like, you know, where did they get the scissors? Why were they using scissors? How did they get the jumpsuits? And, you know, how were they able to survive down there so long without anything? And, you know, but I mean, it's a horror movie, and I feel like for him to sit there and answer every single question in such a far-fetched scenario in general, I feel like it would have made it a bit boring. Like, I feel like certain things you just have to accept in a horror movie. It's not science, you know, it's not a documentary. So certain things are going to be out there and are going to be scientifically impossible and just not really all add up. But I don't think that that's really the point. I think the point is to just tell a story, and for us as viewers to kind of fill in certain gaps. Now, I can see if some of the gaps are just ridiculous and don't make sense at all, but I mean, just fill that shit in. Like, you just don't. I wouldn't just dwell too much on little specifics like that, because otherwise there would be no awesome stories like this. So yeah, I hope that I gave you guys a worthwhile spoiler discussion / review. I am looking for, there are some awesome horror movies coming up soon that I am so excited about. Number 1 being Pet Sematary, 2 The Curse of La Llorona, 3 Midsummer. If you haven't seen Hereditary, I suggest you go see it. It's weird as shit, but it's still worth watching. And the guy who did Hereditary is doing another movie that seems to be about a cult, and I love cults, so that's right up my alley. There's another one that I think I forgot though. Which one am I forgetting? I'm forgetting one. There's Ma with Octavia Spencer, which looks like it's gonna be insane. So y'all look forward to those. I don't know if I like doing the non-spoiler review and then a different spoiler review video, or I might just do them all on one, but I feel like it can get a bit long, so I don't know. So yeah, I'm still coming up with a way to rate these movies. I might just do hit or miss. Like, I feel like that's a little bit easier as opposed to rating it, because I'm bad at rating stuff. Like, either I like it or I don't like it. Or I'll tell you, like, you know, you should go see it, or you shouldn't waste your money on it, you know? So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so glad that you guys let me do things that I enjoy on this channel and you support me. So yeah, go see us. If you haven't, well, if you're watching this, you probably done seen it already. But yeah, look forward to these other horror movies. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Oh, and let me know your conspiracy theories, things that you thought about the movie, and all that stuff in the comment section. Yeah, since it's a spoiler review, you can put spoilers. So all right, see you guys later. Peace.